Hello? Hello? How's everybody doing? Okay.
Let me do a test here. Let's see how it's going. Do, 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 do.
Hello?
Cool, it's working. All right. Okay. Shift this fucker around. Oh. I'm so hard on my mic stands. Bring that over here.
Vorak! Bring me the spanner! Not that one. The 3/5. Hurry!
Grundle sighed. Ramsdell had him running around the shop for hours, hauling boxes of tools, rivets, nuts, bolts, spools of wire, circuit boards, you name it. Grundle kept expecting the man to tire, but he seemed to possess boundless reserves of energy. Grundle had suggested he relax, to use the wheelchair, but Ramsdell insisted on stumping around the workshop, barely using his cane, constantly running into things, and cursing up a storm. The Vorak has a name, Joss. Oh, wait.
The Vorak has a name, Joss.
Grundle and Ramsdell looked to the door. Faline was there, dressed in a sharp blue suit and a stylish half cape, a dark blue beret jauntily draped across her tightly beretted red coif. She strode across the chamber and crouched next to Ramsdell.
What do you want, woman?
Ramsdell growled. I wanted to tell you, I have high hopes for this mission. Our new captain might be ridiculous, but the compensation should be ample. I, for one, am ready to find that statue and deliver it to the Avanti with bells on.
Humph. If we don't all end up in a Colustrian prison, or worse.
Faline turned to Grundle. Grundle, what are your thoughts? Grundle was at a loss. Faline had always been sensuous in movement, and fashionable in a fairly brutal sort of way, but she'd never been what he thought of as elegant. This was a different woman entirely. He was intensely suspicious. I'm just here to find Ayana and capture Creel. Besides that, I don't care what happens. Faline strolled in his direction. Gods, her body moves like a snake in that suit. Grundle, I like you. I know you didn't put us in this position. But now we're here, we should try to make the most of it. I think that's what the captain would have wanted. Grundle nodded. Yes, of course. He was a smart man. A good man. She smiled and nodded in response. Well, boys, carry on. By the way, I'm making a casserole later, so if you'd like to hand a... By the way, I'm making a casserole later, so if you'd like to lend a hand, that would be great. These dumb robots can't cook noodles for shit. Oh, boy. I like it when Faline puts on an outfit, like, puts on a costume, you know? Pretty fun. Apparently, she's an assassin and not just a sailor. Sophris? Yes, teacher? You have accepted that the woman is compromised. Yes, teacher. She has killed in service of her mission. Yes, teacher. Yet you have not exposed her. Why? Sophros let the words wash over him. Emotions drifted through and around his form like serpents coiling around a den, huddling for warmth. Somewhere close, stars burned and died out. Music danced and boiled inside moments. Peace was manifest. War was on the wind. It is not yet certain. I seek to turn the blade. Silence, questioning, consideration. You have a plan. I do. Then carry on. The statue will lead you to Creel. Seek it and save yourself. The portal closed. Breath returned. Fires went out. Doors opened. And if I fail? No voice returned from the void. That's a weird one, huh? Sophros talking to a random person who I'm not sure I ever mention again. So I'll have to do something with that. Canonically, at least on Shattered Worlds RPG, which is the podcast that I host and run, Mistral have to have some way of making an emotional connection with someone if it's more than, a few 100 feet or whatever. And so he should be on a video call with someone. So I might mention who they are, what they look like, what have you. Chapter 5. Faylene. Faylene lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. She'd taped up a movie poster of Lyra Fatima in Reunion. Cherry red lips and wide hips, long black boots, and a loose-fitting pleated skirt. Sometimes Faylene would fantasize about being in the movies, meeting Fatima, and having a whirlwind romance. Not tonight, though. Tonight, she contemplated murder. She'd learned where Portillion was hiding. Grundle had taken an extra tray of potatoes and roast chicken to the rear of the ship, presumably to bring to Joss. Faylene had tracked him to the cargo elevator between the living quarters and the engine room. Taking the stairs 3 at a time, she peeked her head in. There, at the far end of the chamber, she saw a small light. She heard Grundle speaking to someone. It had to be Portillion. Her orders were clear. Get rid of him. She'd racked her brain trying to think of a method that wouldn't implicate her, but she was having difficulty coming up with anything solid. She'd never really premeditated before. Sure, she'd pretty much decided she would whack the driver before she got in the car when she was tracking Celine, but that was pretty quick. This was different. This required psyching herself up to not only kill someone, but to kill someone she knew, someone who had proven to be a halfway decent man. She was not a decent woman. She was selfish. She rarely thought about others unless by helping them they might help her. She'd more or less let go of every relationship that mattered. All she had left was the job and the excitement of violence. She was like an old athlete trying to recapture the glory of competition and cursing her many injuries. There was one person she cared about besides herself, though, and she was a prisoner. They had tortured her, Faline figured. She didn't want to think about it, but they made her with their calls. God damn it, Captain. They put me in a box. You had to die. You don't know what they've put us through. She pounded her fist on the wall and popped out of bed. She was going to do this, God damn it. Fuck morals. Fuck being a hero. She had no choice. She was too far gone to turn back now. Man. Man, oh man. That was when I decided that Faline needed a good reason to be a villain. So I started opening up her mind a little bit. Chapter 6, Portillion. Hey, kid, wake up. Portillion roused himself awake. He slid one of the blankets down enough to reach the edge of the container. Outside the opening, she was there. The woman. She terrified him, usually. She was so harsh, brutal even. But sometimes she looked at him and he didn't know what to feel. She was older, quite a bit actually, but she was gorgeous. He'd be a fool not to think so. Sometimes she looked his direction and he felt like a raw steak she wanted to carve up and eat. It made him feel a bit queasy. A bit. She was looking at him like that now, but there was something else as well. Something softer. Portillion, I wanted to bring you something. She produced a small tin from her jacket and opened it halfway. He looked inside and smiled. It was dark in the hold, but he knew cookies when he saw them. He looked up at her, expectant. Where'd you find them? We have a kitchen, dummy. She slid down next to him and fake punched his arm. He recoiled in mock horror. He didn't have the best sense of humor, but he knew you were supposed to smile a lot around women. It was supposed to make them feel safe. I got him at the market when you were in the pokey. His face betrayed a tortured emotion, just for a split second. I forgot that I switch POV in this one. I might go back and change it. But anyway, his face betrayed a tortured emotion, just for a split second. She knew that face. Her father had had it before he left to rob the liquor store that had taken his life. The look of someone who couldn't forget a traumatic memory. She had it too. Some men had said so. And a few women. Faline? Portillion's voice was weak, unsure. Yes, Portillion? She touched him behind his back, half reaching around his shoulders. He grabbed a cookie, looked down, and then back up at her face. I miss my mother. Her heart broke. His eyes were misty with unbroken tears. Hers were ice. Her feelings stopped somewhere between her heart and her mouth. No man had ever reached them. Not since her stepfather had started his explorations into debauchery. She brushed back a lock of Portillion's curly black hair. With her other hand, she set the tin beside her and reached in to take his left. She placed his and hers in her lap, then rubbed his scalp with the other. She was feeling it now, the old familiar wave of inappropriate attraction. For some reason, whenever she had strong emotions, her body went into fight or fuck mode. Not a good feeling to have when your plan was to covertly kill someone. He was so slight, she could probably squeeze him to death with her thighs. He was young, too, 18, perhaps? She wondered if he'd even kissed anyone yet. She brought him close, resting his head in her lap. Brushing his hair with her fingers, her mind raced. She could strangle him easily, drop his body out the debris chute. Do you ever miss your mother, Faline? Faline stiffened. Her mother was a vicious troll. When she'd told her mom what her stepfather had done to her, the woman had called her a liar, that he was a good man and she was a dirty little slut who wanted to take her husband. She was 11. Portillion, my mother is not worth missing. He looked up in her face. Tears streaked sideways across his cheek. I'm sorry, Faline. I didn't mean. She brushed his head again. It's okay. You wouldn't know. Your mother, how old is she? I'm not sure. 40? Faline was 27 herself. She'd had plenty of young lovers. None as fragile as he, though. If not for his magic, he'd be of little use aboard a starship. She wondered what it would be like to kiss him. And she loves you? He nodded. Then you're lucky. Not everyone has a mother who loves them properly. He set his head back in her lap. His cheek was hot against her private area. How easy it would be to unzip and let him feel her heat against his lips. Or stab him in the neck and feel his blood coat her naked lower half. God, she was sick. What is wrong with me? You're a good woman, Faline. I wish you could have a mother who loves you. Before she realized it, her face was covered in tears. Ah, God. So just so people don't worry, that's about as close in these books as I get to a description of sexual assault. But some of us survivors react this way to strong emotions, and I thought it made sense. Eileen Wuornos, if you've heard of her, was a terrible killer. They made that movie Monster about her, but she people think she had those kind of feelings when she killed. So I decided to make Faline that kind of killer. She just lives for thrills and for excitement or whatever, and it's all mixed up in her head. But yeah. And by the end of this, I may take out some of this stuff because it's not for everyone. But that's what's going on at this point, at least. Okay, so that'll do it for this one. Stay tuned. I'll get at you next time. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever. If you want to be a part of the writing process, if you want to be on Everything is Awesome, what have you, you know what to do. Everything is Awesome podcast at gmail.com, or find me on Twitter at EIA podcast, and listen to all my shit, watch all my shit. And when this book is available, please buy it. And I'm probably going to do an audiobook. I might even pay this incredible artist who's been on this show to do it, but he's probably super expensive, but at least I'll find out, whatever. Or maybe if people like my voice, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Come back next time. Joran, chapter 7. Peace.